Our next author today is Natsume Soseki. And Natsume Soseki, essentially, I have personally a lot of influence from Natsume Soseki. He was born in 1867 in Ushigome, like Edo, which is now Tokyo, right? It used to be called Edo. So his early life was marked by sort of rapid westernization, which was happening in the Meiji era, and Japan was drawn towards the West during those times. And there were a lot of societal changes that deeply influenced Soseki. And he observes like a lot of the identity, tradition, and the society changes that were happening during those times. And his early education was in the classics of both Eastern and Western literature. He pursued a degree in architecture initially at Tokyo University and then switched to English literature. So he writes very well. His prose is very lyrical, and I enjoy reading his. And as I mentioned, I have been personally influenced by Natsume. My own novel, which is My Twin is a Chow, I had already read one of his novels, and while writing My Twin is a Chow, I was deeply influenced by his novel, which is I'm a Cat. So the storylines are different. Mine is a collection of about 54 short stories. I'm a Cat is completely different, but here it's the cat is the narrator essentially. So the first narrator in the novel is the cat, and it's unfolding. The story is unfolding through the eyes of the cat. It offers a very unique and humorous kind of perspective on how the 20th century Japanese society. He was talking about the Japanese society also around that time, and what kind of societal changes were going on, and what did the middle class of Japan experience during those times. And the cat, essentially, without a name, the cat is without a name. It wanders into this household and decides that this is the home, and thus it begins its observant adventure and the commentary on the lives and behaviors of the different human characters. So the central human figure in the cat's observation is Mr. Kushami, a middle-class teacher, and a figure that is essentially one of an interesting character around that time. So along with a lot through the cat's eyes, essentially, you get to know Mr. Kushami and also his friends, family, and the acquaintances, how they behave, how they talk. And the cat is observing probably like from a stove, curling up around the stove sometimes, and making these comments. So it's a narrator, and it's a first narrator in this novel, and it's talking about the various facets of society and the human nature. So there were a lot of social conventions which essentially Natsume Soseki observed around that time, and he wanted to bring out sort of the what it meant for Japan during this evolving world, and the contrasts between the Eastern and Western. So I'm waving to one of my poor person here. The cat, I think, with its sarcastic commentary, is serving as a vehicle for Soseki's critique and his hypocrisy and the comedic follies that were going on in the everyday life, and the insights he's providing on the society around that time. And it's a profound reflection, essentially, of the human condition and the struggle to find one's place within a rapidly changing society. There are things which are rapidly changing even today. How can we find our place? So if you read this novel, you will come to understand a lot from Soseki, how people have dealt with drastic changes that are going on in the society. And that's what we are experiencing even now. Today we'll be covering his novel called Norwegian Wood. and essentially it's a very nice read. The story is set in Tokyo during the 1960s. This was like a um, very much of a time where there was a lot of societal change happening in the world, and especially in Japan as well. So it is narrated by Toru Watanabe when he hears the Beatles song Norwegian Wood, and he's suddenly transported to the days in college. And a flood of memories come from this time when his world is filled with intense relationships and sort of the existential quests. So basically, at the heart of the narrative is Watanabe's complicated relationship with two women, Naoko and Midori. So Naoko is also the girlfriend of Watanabe's best friend, Kizuki, who tragically commits suicide during their high school years. And that's a sorrowful connection that Watanabe has with Naoko. And Naoko has a struggle with mental health and overwhelming grief of losing Kizuki, and this draws like a lot of complexity, emotional complexity, right? And it's a relationship that Watanabe has with Naoko, which is filled with love and sadness. So ultimately, Naoko ends up going to a retreat in a secluded mountain, a sanatorium, or like an institution, which symbolizes her battle with inner demons, and contrasting to Naoko fragility, right? Like there is Midori, who is vibrant, outgoing, and very spirited, and it's two characters which are kind of poles apart. And Midori is also very honest and very alive, and that's what Watanabe is drawn towards. And basically, Midori offers Watanabe a glimpse of the world where basically there is happiness and there is sorrow, but we choose what we tend to focus or what we need to focus on, and that's Midori's sort of outlook, and that has an impact on what Naoko has a struggle with mental health and overwhelming grief of losing Kizuki, and this draws like a lot of complexity, emotional complexity, right? And it's a relationship that Watanabe has with Naoko, which is filled with Watanabe as well. So it delicately explores the themes of love, loss, and the journey towards understanding oneself, and how Watanabe needs to understand himself. It's a story of growing up, and it's a painful transition. Like if we all realize going in from adolescence to adulthood, the characters are navigating this these waters of the grief, love, and the search for identity overall. So Murakami is essentially capturing the essence of youth and the longing, the confusions, and the clarity that come ultimately in the formative years of one's life. And we all go through it. And personally, it struck me like when I was going through this novel, there is so many phases of your life that you can relate to. And it's all about the bittersweet experience that is sort of our overall human experience, right? The novel's ending, though, it leaves the readers with a sense of sadness. And I will let you go and read this novel, not giving it half time. And when doing reviews, I'm not supposed to give out the entire storyline, just provide some tidbits of what the novel is about, and what to focus on, and what I got out of it.